Hey everybody, it's AMV Reverted Studios here with part 4 of my 0 to 200 leveling slash funding slash V-patch guide. I'm sorry I haven't been posting lately. I've been really busy with work and getting my character to a reasonable level. But anyway, straight into the video. So instead of focusing so much on where I trained, I will post where I trained and whether or not it is a Star Force map up in the corner. But this is more of how to start funding yourself or making preparations to fund yourself. And I would probably say link skills to start with. They are one of the simplest yet most important parts of funding your character. It depends on what you're looking for, but I would definitely recommend things like Demon Avenger, Kana, Phantom for critical rate, Mercedes for that extra 15%, which you may not feel like you need right now at earlier levels, but you know, when you hit your 160s, 170s, 180s, 200s, you're definitely going to want that. Also link skills like Beast Tamer, Xenon, Hayato, Demon Slayer if you want extra, boss percent damage. You can probably look up what link skills are connected to what characters, so I'm not going to go through them all. Those are just some of the ones that I have, and I do promise they help. Anyway, next thing on my list would be patient when buying items. You want to save as much meso as possible, and don't be afraid to wait for a better deal, even if it's slightly lower tier. So let's just say you find a pre-scrolled out FAF weapon. It's already been starred, it's already been spell traced, but it's like, like 500 million mesos. Let's just say that as an example. A lot of people can afford this, but I'm speaking in the terms of people like me who can't just waste 500 mil. You could get one that's clean for like 200 mil. And then just slowly Star Force and spell trace it yourself. Saves you a little bit of money in the long run. And I know when you reach 100 to 140, there's not much to look forward to, so it is so tempting to, go ahead and buy Empress gear. I'm telling you right now, go ahead and skip it. Don't bother with Empress gear, because in 10 levels, you're going to replace it with Fafnir, which is much better. So just suck it up and skip it. Just do it. It'll save you money, and you'll have more money for your Fafnir. I should say Mesa. We're not talking real money here. Plus, if you train in like 140 plus areas like Temple of Time, there is a chance that 140 armor will drop in case you want something to tie you over in the meantime. But go ahead and skip Empress gear. Another tip would be, instead of spending NX on small things, wait until you either need to, such as inner ability. Wait till you're closer to 200, then do it when you're like level 60 or 80 or 100. It'll be much more cost effective, and it'll count more in the long run than it will when you're lower level. And this might not make so much sense at the time, but trust me when I say focus on when you get your endgame armor, such as your Fafnir set and, whatever Gulix you decide to go with or whatnot. Whatever you decide is best for your character, focus on making all of those things better and better at the same time, rather than like focusing on making your hat or your shoe or your belt or, your shoulder or your weapon like the best it can be while everything else is slacking. Focus on making everything better and better at the same time. In my case, I'm already in my 150s, and I already have my Fafnir gear. Not my weapon, because again, I am waiting for a better deal. So right now I still have a crappy 110 crossbow, but we're not going to talk about that because I feel like a scrub. Anyway, I'm focusing on making all my Fafnir gear better and better at the same time, so nothing is lacking. So like one piece armor isn't better than the other. But yes, I would recommend doing that than just focusing on one main thing and then moving to another great thing, because that way all your stuff gets good at the same time, instead of having a really good hat and a really crappy shoe, or a really good glove but a really bad, you know, top or bottom or whatever. You get the point. If you do plan on spending an X, do not spend it on things like teleportation rocks. Even though they can be handy, there are ways to get around MapleStory without a teleportation rock, and it's pretty quick. Don't bother with clothes, because yeah, they make you look flashy, but if you're trying to focus on funding your character, getting, you know, NX or like NX clothing isn't really going to help. Focus on things like cubes and pets, things that are going to bring up your damage, things that are going to help you, you know, loot items. Because, you know, let's face it, almost everybody has a pet. I have mine. It's way more convenient than going around pressing Z or whatever you use to pick up your items. Focus on pets or cubes or, you know, something that is going to bring your range up or help make the game easier. Something else that I would definitely recommend is doing your dailies. Right now, with my range, the only things I can do are Zakum and Pianus. But it is a quick and efficient and pretty easy way to get some spare meso. Zakum will drop armor, potions, so will Pianus. Also, there is a chance you can get cubes from Pianus and cubes from Zakum. I don't know if the cube thing changed with Zakum, but I know it's still relevant with Pianus. And I would definitely recommend doing that. You can stock up on some cubes, put them away in your storage for later when it's more relevant. But yeah, if you do, you can do Zac twice a day, and if you're on top of when Pianus spawns, you can make a decent amount of meso per day. Somebody that I know that plays MapleStory, he farms Pianus on the daily, and he makes a decent chunk of change and cubes from farming Pianus. Plus, you get, at lower levels, you get a decent amount of EXP from Pianus. So you can possibly level up as well as make some spare meso and possibly get some cubes. So there's nothing to complain about with that as far as I'm concerned. I am going to bring something else up with cubes because yes, those are relevant. They are very relevant when it comes to funding, that it is a pain in the butt. But learn mining. It's a pain in the butt, and I don't like to do it because I'm lazy, but it is definitely a good way to make cubes. Not make cubes, earn cubes. If you farm the big ones, like the Heartstones, and the, I cannot remember what they're called. They're the giant crystal ones. There is I'd say a pretty fair chance to grab a spare cube from that, just if you want a better chance at getting cubes other than fighting bosses. You can farm the Heartstones and the big crystal ones. Sorry, I cannot remember what they're called, but yeah. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about Star Force and spell tracing. I went ahead and spell traced my armor at 70%. I got a little rushy, and I just kind of wanted to show as an example, as you just saw in that very, very brief second. I would say if you don't want to wait for like a spell trace fever time or whatever, just do 70%. Unless you're feeling lucky, you can do 30. Sometimes people do a mix of both, depending on if they want to take the chance on the extra few attack or, you know, whatever stat that they want. And then I would say to begin with, at least get your endgame armor to 8 stars, and then slowly work each piece up to 10. I wouldn't go past 10 unless you really want to play that chance of destroying your armor. I would say stay at 10. That's what I'm going to do when I have more meso to, you know, gamble with. In the meantime, I would say spell trace either 30 or 70% and Star Force up to 8 and then 10%, or 10%, 10 stars. And yeah, that's all for this video. I think it's gone on long enough. So this is AMV Reverted Studios, and hopefully you guys got some helpful advice. I will see you guys in the next video, and we will get into more in-depth on what to do to increase your range, of course. Anyway, this is AMV Reverted Studios. I'll see you in the next one. Again, I'm sorry I haven't posted a video in a while. I wanted to post it earlier, but I was gone this weekend for a Christmas party with my boyfriend. And, of course, work kind of got in the way, so I couldn't exactly spend the time to just make a video. But here you guys go. Hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in part 5 of my VPatch funding leveling guide.